Hey everyone, Sid Notter here. Today I'm going to show you how to make an anti-inflammatory smoothie. I call it the Beet Goes On because it has beets in it, but there's really no name for it. This is just a smoothie that I make pretty much 4 to 5 times a week for my husband and I as a little treat and to get a lot of nutrition in. There is no specific quantity given here, no specific ingredients. I'm just going to show you what I do, and you could tweak it to your liking. You really can't mess this up. If you want it sweeter, you can add dates, and I'll talk about that as we go along. But as I said, the first ingredient is beets. So here I have organic peeled and cut beets. I'll show you the package. I buy these at Costco. They come in a bag. They actually come in a box, and they are, I'm not sure what row they're in. You know how Costco is, they change things around. But they come in a box with three packages that look like this. And inside the package are about six beets. Again, they're organic, they're peeled, they're cooked, and they are vacuum sealed. So you'll take that vacuum seal out of this bag, and then I've just put mine in a bowl like this and use these in our shakes. Sometimes I'll cut them so they go into the blender a little better, they'll blend up a little bit. Let me just cut that one in half, although it's fine. The Vitamix will definitely process it. So start with a beet or 1.5 beets, whatever you like. Beets are really anti-inflammatory because they have a compound called betalains, which not only gives it its color, it's the pigment that gives color, but it acts as a powerful antioxidant too. And if you've watched any of my materials, you know that antioxidants are designed to combat free radicals that cause oxidation in our body or can cause it. So not only are beets highly high in antioxidants, but they're highly anti-inflammatory too for that reason. They fight chronic inflammation. So beets are the first ingredient. And then I'm going to put in some kale. Now, I like to use dinosaur kale, which is different than the curly kale. I just think the taste is a little better. It's not quite as bitter. This is also called lacinato kale in the store or Italian kale sometimes. It's called dinosaur kale as a nickname because the skin is supposed to resemble dinosaur skin to some degree. And I will usually strip this off of here like this and put at least two big leaves of kale in the blender. And you know what? A lot of times I put the stems in too because the stems are filled with nutrition as well. So, I actually have three leaves here. So I'm just going to put all three of them in the blender. I'm not even going to strip them. I'm going to put the stems in too. So three leaves. You could use whatever green you want, spinach, collard greens, whatever greens that you prefer, you could mix it up. Sometimes I do use spinach or different types of greens. And kale is really great because again, it's full of antioxidants like vitamins A, C, and K, which fight those free radicals. Plus, it has a lot of minerals in it, fiber. Kale protects our cells from damage and reduces inflammation. So all greens are wonderful. There's a lot more we could talk about greens, but let's move on to turmeric. So I buy turmeric. I buy a little bag of fresh turmeric root at our store here near us. It's called the Fresh Thyme store. If you have a Fresh Thyme store, you might get fresh turmeric there, or you could use powdered turmeric. So what I do, this is organic, but I still like to peel it. You wouldn't have to peel it if you didn't want to, but I usually put in about a thumb-sized piece of fresh turmeric. So, maybe about like that. Now, when you use turmeric, by the way, turmeric contains curcumin, which is the reason that we want to have it. It's a powerful antioxidant, highly anti-inflammatory. Not only that, it's called anti-cancer, anti-diabetes, antiviral, and so much more. So the curcumin in turmeric is really the powerful agent. But in order to increase the absorbability of that, excuse me while I grab my pepper, I am going to add a little bit of black pepper because the research shows that adding just a little bit of black pepper makes the curcumin much more bioavailable to us. In fact, I took a little note about that because I thought, what is it about the pepper? Pepper has piperine in it, which is a compound that makes it easier for curcumin to pass through our intestinal wall into the bloodstream. And the piperine also may slow down the breakdown of curcumin by the liver, thereby increasing our blood levels, right? If the liver's not breaking it down, it's increasing our blood levels. So you don't need much. Even a 20th of a teaspoon, just a pinch of pepper, would boost the bioavailability of the curcumin. I said that wrong for so many years. I always called it curcumin. Now that I know how to pronounce it, it's curcumin. But this increases the bioavailability of that property by, was it 2,000%? 2,000% is what the research shows on that. So I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. It says a quarter teaspoon of pepper for every teaspoon of turmeric, but I'm not using a teaspoon. I'm using an actual piece of turmeric root. So I'm just going to put in, a little bit more than an eighth of a teaspoon here. So not very much at all. And they say just a pinch of pepper will activate that property and make it more available to our system. So we definitely want to have pepper with our turmeric. Then I'm going to cut a piece of ginger here. So this is just a big piece of ginger I bought at Walmart, and I could have peeled it before we got on to this smoothie demonstration. I wanted you to see too about how much I'm using. I do peel this. If this was organic, I might throw the peel in there too, but this is not an organic piece of ginger. So I'm going to peel it and cut off a chunk. This is going to give the smoothie a little zing, but not too much to where you won't like the smoothie unless you put too much ginger in there, of course. So maybe about this much in my hand, like a little, I'm not sure if you can see that, one chunk and then a little tiny more chunk. That's going in the blender too. Ginger has compounds called gingerols and shogalls, which help block inflammatory pathways and reduce pain, similar to NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And so very powerful. Many spices are very anti-inflammatory, not just turmeric and ginger, but cinnamon, any of the pepper families like chili pepper, very anti-inflammatory. Next in my little shake, I'm going to put a frozen banana. And of course, fruit is filled with vitamin C, flavonoids. Berries have anthocyanins. Pineapple has bromelain, which is an enzyme that fights inflammation. There's just so many good reasons to eat fruit. And we're just going to throw a banana in there. And then I usually add some other type of fruit too, usually berries of some type. So let me grab some. I've got blueberries here. I'm going to throw in some blueberries. This is a big bag that I buy at Costco, big bag of organic blueberries. I like to get all my frozen fruit there. It's just very cost effective because we use it a lot. And you know what? I'm going to throw in some frozen cherries too. But any frozen fruit will work. Whatever you have in the freezer, maybe you want to try a triple berry mix or frozen pineapple, just whatever you have on hand. I usually do berries of some type though, strawberries, cherries, or blueberries. I'm going to throw in some cherries here too, just a few of those. Again, this is another big bag that I buy at Costco, organic sweet cherries for like $8 and something, very reasonably priced. All right, so there's my fruit. Next, I'm going to add some Amla powder. If you're not familiar with Amla, I have mine in a jar. That's why I can't show you the package because I don't remember what type I bought. I could tell you though if you email me at sidnotter@sidnotter.com because I like to price check and I like to make sure the ingredients are correct. So, here's the ingredient list for this. It's just a product of India, organic Amla powder from India. That's the ingredient. So, you got to read your ingredients, make sure you're not getting some things that you don't really want in there. And I don't really measure this too much. I usually just throw in, this is a half a teaspoon. I'm gonna do a teaspoon because my husband and I are gonna split this, so that's really like we're each getting a half a teaspoon basically. So why is amla powder so good for us? Okay, I looked into that a little bit too. Amla is a potent anti-inflammatory component for many reasons. It's got vitamin C, tannins, flavonoids, and it inhibits some inflammatory enzymes that come up when we have chronic inflammation. These enzymes, amla powder inhibits those from activating, so it's very good. Now, a little caution about it though: the general recommended dosage or amount to eat for amla powder is 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon per day, which if you have more than that, I've discovered that there could be some symptoms, some side effects from that. So research that for yourself and make sure you're not overdoing it with the amla powder. All right, so I've got my amla powder in there. I've got some soy milk here. I'm using West Soy organic soy milk. The ingredients are organic soybeans and water, so very clean product. Always shake it up first. Sometimes it settles to the bottom. And I'm not going to use all soy milk in here. I'm just putting some in here basically for the nutrition because soy has isoflavones in it, omega 3s. It reduces inflammatory markers. It often targets pathways that are leading to inflammation. So, very good. Well, I'm going to put some water in here too because we're going to need more liquid than this. So, I'm just using some tap water here. This is filtered tap water. We have a whole house filter that we bought years ago that we love so that, anything I cook in or that we shower in is filtered. And then I have got some cacao powder here. As you know, raw cacao powder is very high in antioxidants. I keep mine in a jar for easy access, but this is the brand I buy. It's called Terrasol cacao powder. I've priced it on Amazon. This is where I buy this at Amazon. I buy the 3 pack just to save money because I'm big into cost effectiveness. Uh, Should I just say I'm cheap? I want the best product I can get for the least amount of money. So I'm going to add some cacao. Now, if you added a lot of cacao, this would be a chocolate smoothie. You could add a little bit for just the nutrition of it. Dr. Greger says have cacao or cocoa every day. I'm going to add a little more. We're going to make this kind of a chocolatey smoothie today. That is it. Now, there's other things you could add to here. This is basically all that I do, but I've read other recipes for anti-inflammatory shakes. And some of the things you could add would be flaxseed, but we already eat our flaxseed with our breakfast, usually in oatmeal, so we don't need to add that for us. You could add green tea matcha powder, which I have here. It's in a tea bag. It said you could open the tea bag and put that in there, but I didn't do that today. Cinnamon, of course, would be another anti-inflammatory spice that you could add. Once we blend this, you taste it. If it's not sweet enough, you could throw in a few dates. You could put vanilla in there. Dr. Christy Funk, she's a breast cancer surgeon. She has an antioxidant smoothie, and she's got pretty much a lot of the same things here. She does have a, a quarter cup of aloe vera gel. I mean, I'm not quite sure what that is. So I'm not going to go into that because I don't not well versed enough to talk about it. Or a quarter cup of brewed green tea. So that's another thing you could do is add brewed green tea or a teaspoon of matcha powder, or cut a green tea bag open and empty the contents. Again, leafy greens like spinach, kale, or collards, fruit, and bananas. So hers is pretty much the same as mine, but she does have a thing there that I'm not too familiar with. All right, that's it. That's what I'm adding today. If this is too thick, I'll be adding more water. So excuse me 1 second while I blend this up. And I know I'm going to need the tamper with all that frozen fruit in there. Well, I sure didn't need any liquid extra. It's already very thin. If I wanted it thicker, I would add another frozen banana to it. I'm going to taste it. It needs a little something. I'm going to put another banana in. That's okay with you because we are going to have to drink this after the show. All right. It needs to be colder too, which is another reason. I would usually add ice if I wanted it colder, but this time I'm going to add a frozen banana because it just needs to be a little thicker too. All right, let's see how that works. Okay, better. Yep, it's better. It's good. Very good. You could add more cherries, anything frozen to it if you wanted it even a little more thick than what I just did, or if you want it colder. So I'm sorry, there is no like specific quantity for you given here. Again, it's just add a bunch of things to the blender and tweak it as you wish. Let's pour this out. It's kind of a green color today. Usually my husband and I split it. We have these, insulated Vitamix mugs, and I will be pouring that into his in a second. But this is it. This is the Beet Goes On anti-inflammatory smoothie. And if you have any questions about it at all, please feel free to email me at sidnotter@sidnotter.com. Thanks so much.